Hey, what up, YouTube? It's your boy Next Level, man. I'm back again with another one. As promised, man, I'm gonna dive deep today, man. I'm gonna talk about that thing we all go through, targeted individuals. We all go through this. Workplace mobbing. Yeah. Workplace mobbing, man. I got so many stories, man. This would be a 6-hour video. So, you know how I do, man. I'm going to chop it up, man. We're going to make this a series. I'm going to talk about one particular job. And it's for a reason. Because this is the moment where everything kind of stood out. Like, looking back when I was going through this, I didn't have a clue what was happening. You know, a lot of strange things happening to us targeted individuals. But this one job stood out, and I feel like I need to start here. At this job, I worked at a factory in Pennsylvania, and we were making wooden cabinets at this factory. And when I first started the job, I don't know, like somebody I knew told me about it. Actually, I was going through workplace mobbing at another job, and I ended up walking out of there. And I ran into somebody that I knew, and he told me, like, man, this place pays a lot of money. It's a great job. You know, you should come and check it out. I'm about to, you know, start back there again. So I said, all right, cool, I'll check it out. And you know, I filled out, went to the place, filled out application. Everything went great, man. It was great vibes in there. They had like a temporary agency on the site, like it was an actual factory, and the temporary agency was in the factory. So I went in, filled everything out, boom. All right, passed the drug test, and they're like, all right, cool, you get to start this day. I'm like, all right, cool. So went for training the first day, and the setting was, you know, everybody, it was like a classroom. Everybody sat in a classroom, and it was good vibes. Everything was good vibes at that moment, man. I'm just like, all right, cool, man. This is all right, man. I'm about to be making a lot of money here, and everything was good, man. Until they actually took us out on the floor. You know, they gave us like a tour of the whole facility, and it was really big. It was huge. There was a lot of people who worked in this factory, man. I don't even want to give you a number. I'm just going to say it was more than 500 people, man. It had to be like close to 1,000 people working in this factory, man. So I didn't know any of them. I'm not from PA. I'm not from Pennsylvania. I'm actually from upstate New York. But at the time, I lived close to the border of Pennsylvania. So we're taking a tour around the factory, and you know, they're taking us to different workstations and say, okay, this is what you gotta do. This is such and such. This is over such and such. So we're like, all right, cool, man. And at this point, I'm still feeling good. I'm like, yeah, man, this is like, you know, a new start. Yeah, that's what's up. So we walked past this one factory, and then out of nowhere, you know, the dude turned out to be a perp, man. But he just screamed, because, mind you, you have to wear earplugs in this place. It's really loud. You have to wear safety glasses. This guy singled me out of everybody. Like, I'm going to say it was about 20 people in the class that started with me. And he singled me out. He was working. And he was like, hey. And I looked up. He said, the government, look. He's like, the government wants you. And he pointed to me, and I'm like, what the? I'm like, that threw me off. Like, the government? Like, what is this guy talking about? Like, this guy's crazy. Like, I thought it was funny at the time, but looking back on it, man, he was a perp, and he was letting me know, like, yo, you are targeted, bro. And I'm just like, wow. Like, looking back on it, man, I laughed at him, you know. I'm like, what is this guy talking about? You know, and I heard him clearly. He said, the government wants you. And he had his eyes, you see my eyes, you. And I was just like, what? My God, like, you know, so And it turns out I ended up working with this guy. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna get to that later though. So we finished the tour. I just shrugged that off like it was nothing. But remember, everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. So I shrugged it off. Kept it moving. And then I came back into work. To start my shift after the training was over, because I think we did training for like a day and a half, and then I started I was working overnight shifts, and when I come into work, guess who I see? The same guy. Mr. Government wants you. I saw him. I ended up working with him, and he came off as like this kind of cool at first, but then it was like he was perping, man. He was a straight perp. Like, there were days when he would just do stuff on a job that was just like, he would go out of his way to get under my skin, say little slick comments, and actually it didn't. The workplace mobbing kind of built up there, the people who ran the training operation, I started to notice, like, within the next few weeks of me working at this place, I started to notice like how they would, they would come on like in the mornings, because I worked overnight. So they would come in the mornings and they would look at me, and they would give me these dirty looks. Like, when I first started and did training and everything went good. It was good energy, everything was good. But then they started giving me dirty looks just for no reason. I'm like, wow. And then my manager, like the lady who ran the area that I worked in, I thought she was just racist, because it is a lot of racist people down there. But now that I look back on it, it was more to it than that, man. Like, I was heavily targeted, and they was launching this workplace mobbing campaign on me full force, and I didn't know. Like, I had no clue. Yeah, man, I would, go to my manager, and I would go to her. Well, not even a manager. She was like more the supervisor. And I would go talk to her, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? Trying to introduce myself, Hey, just try to build a rapport with her. And I always got this, like, she would yell, like, yelling at me. And I'm just like, wow, like, I didn't know how to take that. Like, she didn't talk to anybody else like that. And I was just like, wow, like, at first I thought maybe she was just racist, but she probably was, because it was maybe a handful of black people in there, man. And most of the black people that was in there, like the one Mr. The government is looking for you, he was black, and he was definitely a perp though. Like, he played a major role in my targeting when I lived down in that area. But I'm gonna talk about that later though. But I tried to talk to my supervisor, and she just had this nasty attitude with me, man. And for the life of me, I just didn't know why. Like, I tried to figure it out, and I just couldn't figure it out, man. So, the training, as far as the training there, they didn't really train me too much, man. I learned from people on other shifts that I ended up forming a bond with, being cool, and they trained me more than the people who was supposed to train me, and they were trying to get me to sign off on these papers, like saying that I learned what I was supposed to learn. And I was really like confused for like the first 2 weeks in this place, like trying to figure out what to do and how to do things. And they just threw you in, like they just threw you into a pool of sharks and just expected you to swim. And, it was swim or drown. It was eat or be eaten in that place. And I remember, man, like it was in the middle of dead winter, man, and it was freezing cold outside, but it was like a sauna in there, man. It was boiling, the heat was boiling. But I started meeting people in there, and I started forming bonds with a few people. Like, I really got cool with some people. It never got to the point where we hung out like out of work or anything, but we would go to work and we would have fun. Like, I'm that type of guy. Like, I don't, I'm not going to work up? We need to get this done. Like, I'm not that kind of guy, man. I like to have fun. I like to work, get it done. After, I would say, I don't know, man, after about three, maybe my first month there, like, I really, I learned and I got good. And I started noticing, like, like they would put all the people who were good at their jobs and they would put them all on one line, and then they would put me with people who didn't know what they were doing, and kind of like setting me up for failure type situations, and then they would like post us against each other, like different teams, like we would all be against each other, and we would try to see who would who would pump out the most product during the shifts, and it got to a point where like I really started really getting good at that job, and not only getting good, like the people who weren't good, when they put them with me, like, cause I kind of felt what was going on, like I kind of felt what they were doing, like I'm watching everything, I'm like, man, they really want me to fail in here, like they set me up for failure, and it just backfired because I just made everybody around me better, like we all learned and we all got better, and when they pit us against each other, I would say about 70% of the time my line pumped out more work than the people who were all good and been there, and my line was being more successful, and it was like they hated that, like they were mad at that. And then I was really heavy with the Facebook thing back then. It was one of those places where they always had a high turnover rate. Like they would just hire people, keep them on for a little bit, and just let them go. And I noticed, like looking back on that, I didn't know that back then, but now I do know. And so, I posted on Facebook, and I made a comment, and I actually got quite a few people jobs there, and got people hired on there, and just trying to be helpful and help people out and stuff, so I got people hired, man. I got people some jobs back from the town where I was living, and then I noticed, like, I would say maybe 2 or 3 weeks after these people started working, they really stepped up this workplace mobbing. Like they really stepped it up to another level. That's when like all the rumors and slander started. Like I don't know what was going on, but everybody in the factory just started, like, I don't know, they just started looking at me like, oh, like they told them some kind of story, or said something about me. Everybody was whispering, laughing behind my back. Like everybody had something, a different vibe. You know what I mean? Like, it was a straight different vibe, man. Like, kids that I thought I was cool with, that I did help get jobs, they were coming in, like doing drugs and smoking, what is that, bath salt, smoking bath salt in the bathroom and bugging out. A lot of people got fired. They let a lot of people go. And I just thugged it out, like I just toughed through it, when throughout all the everybody switching up and all the whispers and all the rumors, nobody said nothing to me. Like nobody said, yo, such and such is saying this about you, such and such is saying that, and Mr. The government is looking for you. He was just leading the charge, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it was like an incentive, like if they paid him more to, spread these rumors, or to spread this bad energy around my name in this place. And it's crazy because I didn't grow up down there. I didn't know anybody in there. I never, like, you know what I mean? Like, I had no ties to anybody in there. So for everyone to carry on the way they did, snickering and making comments, and, like I'd be on my machine and people would be across the way pointing at me, oh, such and such, ha ha ha, and just, it got crazy, you know what I mean? And I didn't quit. Like I just toughed it out, man, because I was actually in a financial bind, and I really needed that money. Like, it was really helping me out, and um, that went on. I want to say for like maybe another month and a half every day. Like, I would go into work, people snickering, making comments. Actually, the temp agency who hired me, even they, like, when I went in, I used to go in and talk to them, like, they were really nice ladies, like, and when I went in, like, the energy just changed, like, it just changed, man, like, it went from, hey, what's going on, to, like, looking at me, like, something was wrong, like, they heard something about me, and it just didn't make any sense at the time.
If young Metro don't trust you, I'm gonna shoot you.
Then one day, I worked all week. I worked, because I worked an overnight shift, and it was, no, it was like 8 hours, but they give you the option to do overtime if you want. So, I did my overnight. I think I did. Yeah, I think I did overtime that day. I think I did 12 hours that day, and I went home, and they just called me just out of the blue, and it was supposed to be after, I think after 3 months, they give you an option to hire you on, and I think I was approaching that time, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was 6 months, I'm not sure, because it was a little while ago, but she just called me up and she was like, hey man, they decided to, your assignment is over, just for no reason. Like, I wasn't late, like, I didn't have any occurrences or nothing. The workplace mobbing was going crazy, something like I never experienced before. They have workplace mobbed me in different ways on different jobs before this, but this is the one that stood out, this is why I felt like I needed to start the series with this story, because right away, I had some perp in there, the government is looking for you. Everybody was looking at me like, what is this guy talking about? But, she called me up and she was like, yeah, your assignment is ended and such, and just for no reason. Like, she said, yeah, like, you did a great job, but, we're just gonna, the factory just decided to end your assignment. And I was just like, wow. Even though the workplace mobbing was crazy, and I toughed it out, and it didn't begin like that. That's the thing. Like, when I first started there, they had little weird situations would happen, and then it just kept stepping up, and to the point where, I was coming in and people were laughing and snickering and making comments and and such. And mind you, like, I'm not from around there. Like, I'm not from there. Like, I don't know those people. For them to be so invested on me and so focused on whatever story they heard or whatever it was, it kind of threw me off. But I thugged it out. Like, I toughed it out, and all for what? For her to just call me and say, your assignment is ended. And that was it. I never went back there. Everybody who I ended up getting jobs for, who I stuck my neck out to get a job at this place, in some form of fashion, either they got on the job and, started acting funny towards me, or whatever story that was going around, whatever they said about me, they took, the people who I helped get jobs there, I guess they were all toast up. None of them came and told me anything about anything that was said about me, and they actually went back to New York with whatever stories or whatever they said, and they spreaded it through the town. Like, I guess they use those people to further my targeting, outside of the workplace. And I thought that was, oh man, I felt so betrayed. You know what I mean? Because those were people. I don't want to say they were my friends, but they were people who I had built a rapport with. Back to the Facebook thing. Like they were perps. 99.9% of them were perps, but nobody said nothing to me. But they made sure that they took that information, whatever they had about me. They definitely went back to the town and spreaded information or whatever story or whatever slander they brought to the table. They spreaded that throughout the town, and I just thought that was crazy, man. That nobody told me anything, nothing, and there was a whole bunch of this, and none of those people at the same time, none of those people ever did anything for me. None of those people ever, if there was any work or any employment going on, nobody ever told me anything about anything. And the government is looking for you. After the job was over, like I didn't even know this guy, man. He just showed up at my house. He knocked at my door and came in and was acting like he was a friend, after all the ups and downs, like after all the funny acting ways on the job, and he came off like he was cool after that because they did the same thing to him a week later. They called him up and let him go. So, I guess all that perping he did on the job, I don't know. I guess it didn't pay off for him as far as working at that place. But he sure, like, even after the job was done, man, like, he showed up at my place and, told me about what was going on at the job and who they let go. And he said, yeah, they fired me too, man, and such. Gave me his phone number, invited me over his house. I went over there and ate cookouts and hung out with him, and it turns out he was a perp, man. Like, it was a small town that I lived in down there, but this guy, he came off like he was a friend, but he really wasn't, man. He was definitely a perp. He showed up in places. This is after the job. Like, he showed up at places where I was at, where there was a store or, anywhere around the town. Like, almost every place that I lived, because I ended up having to move in with a girl that I knew, because after I lost my job, I was living somewhere, and that's a whole nother story. I don't want to go into that, but I'm going to just keep it short right now. This guy, Mr. The Government is Looking for You, he showed up in different places, and he kept the smear campaign going, and it actually involved in other jobs that I got, but I'm gonna talk about that on the next workplace mobbing video that I do come with. I just wanted to let everybody know that all of those people who I helped get jobs, it just ended up biting me, ended up stabbing me in the back and keeping the whatever slander they had against me, they just kept it going. That is chapter 1 of my workplace mobbing series. And I'm definitely going to dive deep with this thing, man, because I have tons of stories about this. Like, I went through it, and I just want to share my story, man, and just let people know that you are not alone. Like, if you are going through this, you're not alone, man. Like, it's something that they do to target individuals, and it happens. So if you are part of the family, slap a like on it. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And remember that God is with you no matter what they do, no matter what they try to do to us, man. God is always with you. he's with me too, man. And yeah, man. So I'll be back on another one. It's your boy Next Level. Peace. I love you.